Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the next part of our review discussions. And this time, we will be talking about the multiplication of algebraic expressions. Okay, so to recall, previously or yesterday, um, we had our discussions, the review discussions about the addition and subtraction of algebraic expressions. All those operations about algebraic expressions like the addition and subtraction, and this time will be the multiplication. All these three operations, you need these lessons and topics before we will proceed to the division of algebraic expressions, especially when the divisor is binomial using the long method division or long method of division. Okay, well anyway, this time we will be talking about the multiplication of algebraic expressions, and as usual, if you have mastered the rules on how to multiply integers, then it will be easy for you this time to recall and refresh your knowledge about the multiplication of algebraic expressions. So let's start. Okay, so let's begin with the basic part as part of the review or recall for you. Let us consider the multiplication of constant and variables. So, like for example, if we have positive 2 times x, for example, and anyway, for the multiplication, we do not use this symbol x as multiplication. Please always remember this one, because you might consider this soon x as variable. So that is why instead of using this letter x as multiplication, we will use the parenthesis as a symbol. That is why if it is parenthesis, between these two parentheses, the operation is already multiplication. So there is no need for you to put x here as multiplication, because the parentheses themselves will tell you that the operation between positive 2 and x is multiplication. Okay, so let us try to recall the basic part of the multiplication of algebraic expressions. For example, we have the constant and variables. What is the result when we multiply constant and variables? So just simply, if you are multiplying constant or number and letter, the result is just equal to just copy them together as your answer. So you read this as the quantity of positive 2 times the quantity of positive x. So since the first one is number or constant and the other is variable, so just copy them together as the answer. So that's it. So it is where the term like 2x derived from when we multiply constant and variable. Okay, another one. We may have negative 5 times x squared. So the same as number one example, you just copy them together as your answer. So the result is 5x squared. So you read this as the quantity of negative 5 times the quantity of x squared. So the result is negative 5x squared. So I hope this one is very clear to you. as part of the basic review of multiplication of algebraic expression. Okay, so the last one we have negative 3, yeah, times 2x raised to the power of 4, for example. So, say the first one is integer and the second one is 2x raised to the power of 4, but it has numerical coefficient of positive 2. So all you have to do is just multiply the numbers and bring down the variable together with its exponent. So the quantity of negative 3 times the quantity of positive 2x raised to the power of 4, just multiply the number or the integers here. So 3 times 2, that is 6, and negative times positive is negative. And then bring down x raised to the power of 4. So the answer is negative 6x raised to the power of 4 when we combine these two given by multiplication. That's the quantity of negative 3 times the quantity of positive 2x raised to the power of 4. Okay, so let's proceed to the second one. This time, variables and variables. What is the result when we multiply variables? Okay, so this one, for this part, there are two possible given. The first one is when you multiply variables and variables where these two variables are not the same. For example, we have, okay, so we have A times B, or the quantity of A times B. So if you are multiplying variables, different variables, the result is just again copy them together as the answer. So the quantity of A times the quantity of B, the result is AB as the product. Another one, you may have x squared times y cubed, for example. So since the two variables are not the same again, so the quantity of x squared times the quantity of y raised to the power of 3, or y cubed, so the result is just copy them together as your answer. Okay, so that's it. That's how you multiply variables if these given variables are not the same. Just copy them together as the final answer, or as product, together with exponents if there are exponents. So for this case, we are considering variables, multiplying variables where these variables are not the same. Okay, so the next one is still, okay, let us see. So the next one is still about variables. So same variables. What is the result when we multiply the same variables? Okay, so you have, for example, x times x squared, or x times x. Just for example, you may also rewrite this as x times x. So instead of using letter x as multiplication, other than parentheses, you can also use that as a symbol for multiplication when it comes to secondary mathematics or algebraic expressions. Not just algebraic, but also when we multiply integers, we can also use that to symbolize multiplication. Okay, so the quantity of x times x, or the quantity, or x times x, either of these two is acceptable as symbol of multiplication. Okay, so the question now is, what is the result when we multiply the same variables? So for this case, it is considered that all letters or any variables, it is always considered or understandable that it has positive 1 as their exponents. Only that you may omit or you can, um, the exponents are omitted because it is always considered and understandable that the positive 1 as exponent is always there. So, what you will do if you are multiplying two the same letters or variables or more than one variables, but these variables are the same, so what you will do is just copy a single variable. And then consider that the first exponent plus the second exponent. The exponent of the first x and the exponent of the second x. So, and then other exponents, and then the result is x raised to the power of 2. So that's it. When we multiply the same letters, the same variables, the rule is just copy the common variable and add their exponents. So that's how you multiply variables if they are the same. So did you get the comparison here? That if variables you are multiplying are not the same, you copy them together as the answer. While if you are multiplying the same variables, all you have to do is to copy the common variable and then add their exponents. And the final answer, the result like this one as x squared, is the final answer when we multiply x times x. So I hope you get this idea. Another one under this. So you have x cubed times x. So what is the result? So since variables are the same, so just copy again the common variable, and the first exponent is 3 plus the second exponent is considered 1. So the result or the product is x raised to the power of 4. So therefore x cubed times x, the product is x raised to the power of 4. Okay, so as simple as this. So there is no need for you to be confused and choose not to understand this different types of multiplication, the basic part of the multiplication of algebraic expression. And since supposedly this is a review lesson, review discussions, I am not supposed to include this one, but for the sake of some mathematics lovers who were able to skip this part of the discussion because of the pandemic years, then this is for you. And this is your chance to learn the basic way or the basic part of the multiplication when it comes to multiplying algebraic expression. Okay, let's continue. Supposedly you have 2x raised to the power of 3, and then times, when we have 3x raised to the power of 2, for example. So what will be the result? Okay, just simply, you multiply numbers and numbers and variables and variables. So you may multiply, you may do this way, but if you are master already, so just give the product directly. But for the sake of presenting the step-by-step solution, because this is a review, a step-by-step review, so you may multiply this first, 2 times 3, and then, okay, so this one, and then times x. Since the variables are the same, so just copy the common variable, a single x, and then add their exponent. So the first exponent is 3, the second exponent is 2. Like this one. So 2 times 3 is 6, and then times x raised to the power of 3 plus 2, that is x raised to the power of 5. And then you go back to the first one, which is multiplying constant and variables. The result is copy them together, that is 6x raised to the power of 5. So therefore class, that's when we multiply the quantity of 2x cubed times the quantity of 3x squared, the product, the final answer is 6x raised to the power of 5. So, if you are confused regarding with this third example or any of these basic examples, you may ask questions, and if this one will be uploaded in the channel, you may comment your questions or you can ask me directly. Okay, so another one, for example, you have here. Perhaps this is the last example for this basic part. Supposedly we have negative 3x squared y raised to the power of 3 times 5x cubed y raised to the power of 4. So what is the result? Okay, so all you have to do is again multiply numbers, that is negative 3. You may also use the parentheses. Other than that, that between the numbers, you may also use just simply the parentheses. And then you may also copy x. So the common variable here, x and x, so x squared and x cubed, just copy them as a single x, and then other exponent, the first exponent of x is 2, the second exponent of x, that is 3, and then add them. And then the next variable is y, so just copy the common y, and the first exponent of y is 3, and then the second exponent of y is raised to the power of 4, and then that's it. So proceed to multiplication. So 15 times 3 times 5, that is 15, and negative times positive is simply negative. Or you may bring down them directly, and then this one is x raised to the power of 2 plus 3 is 5, and then y raised to the power of 3 plus 4 is 7. Or if there, as I said, if there's no addition or subtraction between these numbers and letters, so understood that the operation again always is multiplication. So multiply, when you multiply these three different terms, so that will become a single term is negative 15 x raised to the power of 5, and then y raised to the power of 7. So that's it. That's how you multiply the basic multiplication. That's how you perform the basic multiplications of algebraic expressions. The different ways or the different possible given expressions where you can apply the multiplication of algebraic. Okay, so for you to practice, try this one. Okay, so just try to practice this one. So, the quantity of negative 3x raised to the power of 3, y raised to the power of 2, times the quantity of 4xy. So, the second given is the quantity of 9b raised to the power of 2, times 3c raised to the power of 4, times the quantity of negative 2d raised to the power of 4. So, this is the part where you need to review, you need to recall, and you need to master before we will proceed to the next part of the multiplication, and that is the multiplication of monomial and binomials. binomials and binomials, trinomials and trinomials, or multinomials. And we will proceed to that one when we come back. So for this time, we will take a short break. So thank you, and please stay full. So again, your practice, the given algebraic for you to practice is the quantity of negative 3x cubed plus, the quantity of negative 3x cubed y squared times the quantity of 4xy. The second given for you to practice is the quantity of 9b squared times the quantity of 3c raised to the power of 4 times the quantity of negative 2 d raised to the power of 4. So hang on, we will come back. So welcome back. So this time, as we continue with the multiplication of algebraic expressions, let us proceed this time when we multiply monomial and binomial, or binomial and binomial, or shall we say trinomials or multinomials. Okay, just a while ago, I presented to you on how to multiply monomials or numbers and letters or constant and variables, and those type of algebraic expressions, those are what we call the monomials or monomial by monomial multiplication. Okay, so for this time, let's proceed on how to multiply monomial and binomial. So monomial, that means the algebraic expression is composed of one term, and the binomial is composed of two terms. For example, we have 4x squared, or shall we say 4x times the quantity of x squared minus 3, for example. So this is monomial because of one term only, and this one is binomial because it has two terms, the first term and the second term. And how are you going to do the process of multiplication here, if you can still remember? So either you would continue the horizontal multiplication, but in my case, I always suggest the vertical way of multiplying algebraic expression, where the one with more than one terms should be placed on top. So that means we are going to write first x squared minus 3, and then the one with the less number of terms should be in the second line. So it is always understandable that the process is multiplication. Either you place multiplication symbol or not. That is not important. What is important is we are in multiplication algebraic expression. So the first thing that you are going to do is you multiply 4x to the first term of the upper given. So that means 4x times x squared. So if we will try to rewrite that one, if you have your stats paper, because you have not able to master the one that we discussed a while ago, which is the multiplication of monomials, you may say that this is 4x times x squared. So as you can see, it is related to what we discussed a while ago. So 4x times x squared. So again, to recall, so if you multiply number and number, so understandable there is 1 here, so 4 times 1, that is 4. And if you are multiplying the same variables, just copy the common variable and other exponents. So the first x, the exponent is 1, and then plus the second exponent is 2. So therefore the answer is 4x raised to the power of 3. So when we multiply 4x times x squared, the result is 4x raised to the power of 3. So that's it. The next one is you multiply 4x to the second term of the given upper line. So we have 4x times technically minus 3. Or that means you are multiplying unlike signs or unlike operations. So 4x times 3, so that means we have 4x here, then times 3. So multiply numbers only, that is 4 times 3 is 12, and bring down the variable x. So that means when we multiply 4x and 3, the result is 12x. And then it is this one, 4x is positive, and technically this is negative or minus. So multiplying two opposite signs, the result is always minus or negative. Negative, but since there is term here before 12, so you consider this as minus, not negative. I keep on repeating this one because most of you or some of you are always thinking that this one is negative. Again, this is only considered as negative if there is no other term before. That means this is the time that you can do this one as negative 12x. However, if there is term before this sign, like this one, so therefore this symbol is not negative but minus. So this is why you read your answer as 4x cubed minus 12x. So therefore, when you multiply the quantity of 4x times the quantity of x squared minus 3, the product is 4x cubed minus 12x. So as simple as that. I hope you get the idea here. The next one, second example. Perhaps you may have this negative, shall we say, 3x squared times 2x. For example, we have 2x raised to the power of 3, and then plus 5x, for example. So we have the quantity of negative 3x squared times the quantity of positive 2x cubed plus 3. The operation between again is multiplication. So either you continue that one, but in my case, I always suggest, again, I keep on telling this, that the convenient way is to rewrite the given into vertical arrangement. So this one is, you write first the one with most number of terms. So the first line or the upper part should be 2x cubed plus 5x. And then times negative 3x. Okay, so try to follow. So first, multiply negative 3x to 2x raised to the power of 3. So it is just like this one, multiplying negative 3x times 2x cubed. So the result is, multiply only numbers, negative 3 times 2, that is negative 6, and then copy the common variable, that is x, and then the first exponent is 1, the second exponent is 3, and add them together, the answer is negative 6x raised to the power of 4. So therefore, when you multiply negative 3x times 2x cubed, the answer here is negative 6x raised to the power of 4. The last one is, you multiply negative 3x to 5x. So what will happen? So if you have here, like negative 3x times 5x, and if you are master already, there's no need for you to do this one here, showing your solution, but you can do this one mentally. So negative 3 times 5, that's directly negative 15, and x times x, copy the common x, and then 1 plus 1 for the exponent, so the result is negative 15x raised to the power of 2. So therefore, this is 15x raised to the power of positive 2 and negative. So since this is, since there is term here before negative 15x, so the negative, you consider the negative as minus symbol. So the final answer is, when we multiply the quantity of negative 3x squared times the quantity of 2x cubed plus 5x, the product is negative 6x raised to the power of 4 minus 15x squared. So as simple as this, if you have mastered the basic part of the multiplication, which is the multiplication of monomials. Okay, so let's continue. Supposedly, we have, for number, the next one is monomial by trinomial, for example. Trinomial and multinomial. So when we say trinomial, the algebraic expression is composed of 3 terms or 3 monomials, while the multinomials consist or composed of more than 3 terms. It could be 4 terms, 5 terms, and 6 terms. You call them as multinomial. Okay, so for example, we have under the multiplication of monomial by trinomial and multinomial, or simply monomial, trinomial and multinomial. So we have, for example, we have number 1, we have negative 4x squared times x cubed plus 3x minus 10, for example. So what is the product? So this is trinomial and this is monomial. So again, just directly write them in vertical multiplication, that is 3x cubed plus 3x and then minus 10. And then negative 4x squared. The operation is multiplication. So first, multiply negative 4x squared here. Negative 4x squared times x raised to the power of 3. So in this case, you may have negative 4, like this one, so negative 4x squared times x cubed. So the result is multiply numbers and numbers, so integers and integers, or coefficient and coefficient. So understood, there's 1 here, so negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. And then bring down the common variable, that is x, and then 2 plus 3, that is 5. 2, the first exponent, and 3, the second exponent, add them together, and that is x raised to the power of 5. So the answer here, when we multiply negative 4x squared times x cubed, the answer is negative 4x raised to the power of 5. And the next one is multiply negative 4x squared to the second term. That is negative 4x squared times 3x. That is, so the result is negative 4 times 3, that is equal to negative 12, and you have here, bring down x directly. So x raised to the power of 2, 1 here as exponent, so plus 1. So the result is negative 12x raised to the power of 3 as your final answer. So this is 12x raised to the power of 3, and then this is supposedly negative, but since there's a term here, so the negative sign becomes minus. And the last one for this part is you multiply negative 4x squared to the last term of the first line, which is negative 10 or minus 10. So negative 4x squared times technically negative 10. So we have negative 4x squared times negative 10, including the minus symbol that becomes negative. And when we multiply to the same signs, that becomes positive. So your answer here is no longer negative as the sign. And then multiply 4 and 10, that is 40. Bring down variable including the exponent, since there is no variable here, so just bring down x squared. So that means when we multiply negative 4x squared and negative 10, the result is positive 40x squared. So you write positive 40x squared. And then if it is positive, since there are terms here, since there is term before 40x squared, it is positive, so automatically the operation here is plus. So therefore, when you multiply the quantity of negative 4x squared times the quantity of x cubed plus 3x minus 10, the answer is negative. The product is negative 4x raised to the power of 5 minus 12x cubed, or 12x raised to the power of 3, and plus 40x squared, or 40x raised to the power of 2. So as simple as that. So as you can see, I am presenting this review discussion step by step, beginning with the basic part of the multiplication, which is the multiplication of variables and constant, variables and variables, and until it becomes multiplication of monomials, because those ideas you can use them when we reach this part of the multiplication of algebraic expressions. Okay, so last part for this one, when we continue with the multiplication of monomial and trinomial, still under this letter B, or next one. The second example that we may consider is 4x raised to the power of shall we say 3, and then times negative 2x raised to the power of 4, shall we say power of 3, and then minus 3x raised to the power of 2 plus shall we say x raised to the power of, or perhaps you have 2x, and when we have plus 5. So this example is an example when we multiply monomial and multinomial. So this one, the expression inside the parenthesis has 4 terms: the first, second, third, and fourth. So considered as multinomial. So the same process when multiplying. So just rewrite them into vertical, because that is the easiest way for you to see the process. So this is now negative 2x raised to the power of 3 minus 3x raised to the power of 2 plus 2x, and then plus 5. And then your monomial 4x cubed as the second line. So this will be either you write your 4x here, 4x cubed, or this part, write this page under this 2x, or right under this 5. That is the correct process. But for me, in my case, I have to write 4x, or I have to place 4x cubed right here. Okay, so let's continue now. Just try to follow, and I hope this time you can easily follow and get the idea. Okay, so so since there are 4 terms in the first line, so your final answer must have 4 terms also. That's one thing that you should remember always. So the first is 4x cubed times negative 2x cubed. So this one, 4x cubed times negative 2x cubed. So as you continue, multiply only the coefficients or the numerical coefficients, that is positive 4 and negative 2. So when you multiply 4 and negative 2, the result is negative 8. And for the variable x, just copy the common x, add their exponents, that is 3 plus 3 is 6. So if you have already mastered the previous examples on what you're going to do with the exponents, so you can just add directly without showing that you are actually adding like 3 plus 3. Okay, just do it mentally and write the exact answer here. So the first part, when you multiply 4x cubed times negative 2x cubed, the answer is negative 8x raised to the power of 6. And then after that, you proceed to multiplying 4x cubed to the second term, that is negative minus 3x squared or negative 3x squared. So this time, this will be 4x cubed times negative 3x squared. So this will become 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Just bring down the common variable x, and then 3 plus 2, the first exponent is 3, the second is 2, and then add them together, that is 5. So therefore, for this part, 4x cubed times negative 3x squared, the result is negative 12x raised to the power of 5. Then again, always remember that the sign negative becomes minus if there is term before. Okay, always remember that one, because that is the common mistake that some of you always do. This sign is multiplying 4x cubed times 2x. So this 4x cubed is positive while 2x is also positive. So you are multiplying two the same signs. So this is 4x cubed times 2x. This will become 4 times 4, that is 8, and copy the common variable x and add their exponents, that is 3 plus 1. Understandable, always there is 1 here. So 3 plus 1 is 4. So therefore, multiplying 4x cubed and 2x, the result is positive 8x raised to the power of 4. So if it is positive, so since there are terms where before 8x raised to the power of 4, the positive becomes plus also. Always be careful and be mindful of the operations between terms. The last one here is when we multiply 4x cubed and positive 5. So it will be 4x cubed times 5. So 4 times 5, simply that is equal to 20. And bring down the variable together with the exponent, since there is no other variable here. So the answer for the last part of the process, when we multiply 4x cubed and 5, the result is 20x cubed. So since 4x cubed is positive and 5 is positive, automatically this is positive. But since there are terms there again before 20x cubed, the positive becomes plus. Always remember that. So therefore, 4x cubed times the quantity of negative 2x raised to the power of 3 minus 3x squared plus 2x plus 5, the final answer or the final product is negative 8x raised to the power of 6 minus 12x raised to the power of 5 plus 8x raised to the power of 4 plus 20x cubed. So I hope this is very helpful for you and for all of you who wish to review and to learn more about the algebraic expression, especially when multiplying algebraic expressions. So we will take a short break, and when we come back after a few minutes, we will continue with the multiplications of monomial, we will continue with the multiplications of binomials, trinomials, and multinomials. So just stay put because we will come back. Thank you. Okay, so welcome back to the last part of this multiplication, and this time we will be talking about we will be including in our multiplication the expressions containing binomials, trinomials, and perhaps multinomials if there is still time. Okay, so as the last part of this operations, the multiplications of algebraic expressions, we may have this time the binomials binomials, the trinomials, and multinomials. Okay, so this is the part where you need to apply all the process and techniques on how we multiply the monomials and monomials, the binomials and monomials, and numbers and letters or constant and variables, together with the idea of their exponents if variables are the same. Okay, so for this part, perhaps we have this x minus 2 times x plus 3, for example. Okay, how are you going to do that? How are we going to do that? So, this is what we call the binomial or multiplication of binomials. The first binomial is x minus 2, and the second binomial is x plus 3. So, the operation here is the quantity of x minus 2 times the quantity of x plus 3. So what is the answer? That's the question. So again, in your solution, okay, either you write first the first binomial or the second binomial should be written first. That is not a question because they have the same number of terms. Either you write first x plus 3 or you write first the x minus 2, like x plus 3, and then we have x minus 2, or you have x minus 2 and then we have x plus 3. Again, either of this arrangement is just truly acceptable since for your convenience because they have the same number of terms. Supposedly, we consider the first one. So we have x or x plus 3 times, the operation is times x minus 2. So again, let me rewrite this into a bigger type. So we have x plus 3 and we have times x minus 2. Okay, so the first part of the multiplication is you multiply x times x. We always begin at this sign. from left going to the right. So x times x, that means you are multiplying to the same variable, just copy the common x. And then understood there is 1 and 1 here as exponent, so other exponent, that is 1 plus 1, that is 2. So that means x times x is equal to x squared. Next, you multiply x. You multiply x to 3. So you are technically multiplying to the same sign, so automatic your answer, your operation here is plus or positive. Positive but becomes plus because of there is term before. So x times 3, so like in the previous one, the basic part of multiplication, when you multiply letter and number or variable and constant, just copy them together as the answer. So therefore x times 3 is 3x. So again, the operation is plus since we are technically multiplying the same sign or two, the same signs. Plus or positive, and this one is positive. And the second one, the next is you multiply the second term here to each term of the upper binomial. So that means you multiply 2 to x. So that is 2 times x. So simply we have 2 times x. So you are multiplying number or constant and variable, so copy them together as the answer. And in placing the number or your answer here as partial answer, you have to look for the term in the first line of your product, or you can place this vertically with 2x. So in this case, you need to place the right one where you should write the 2x is right under 3x. So this one here. Reason is because the result, the partial product here and the second partial product is the next part is you are going to add all this to obtain the final answer, like the basic multiplication of 2 or more than 2 digits when during our elementary time. Okay, here. And then, why is it that you are placing 2x aligned with 3x? Because the idea is we are going to add this result to obtain the final answer. And if you could still recall previously that algebraic expressions can be added directly and easily if they are similar, they are having similar terms. So 3x and 2x are similar terms because their variables and exponents are the same. So that is why before we discuss multiplication or any mathematics instructor or teacher, before they will discuss the multiplication, the addition of algebraic expressions and the subtraction of algebraic expression should be discussed first. Then let's proceed to the last part, that is the last term of the second line binomial, the last term of x minus 2, which is 2 times the last term of the upper binomial. So that's 2 times 3. So technically, this is negative 2 times positive 3. So that is equal to negative 6. So that negative 6, so since there is no constant here in the first line, you have to place 6 here further. And my negative becomes minus here. So therefore, the first line of your partial answer is x squared plus 3x, and the second line is 2x minus 6. And the next thing that we're going to do is to plus or to add the result. So since there is no term under x squared, you just bring down x squared. And then positive 3x or plus 3x and positive 2x technically having the same sign, all positive, so becomes plus here, and then add directly this 3x and 2x. So bring down x because they are similar, and then add directly 3 plus 2, that is 5, and then bring down minus 6. So the final answer is x. When we multiply the quantity of x minus 2 times the quantity of x plus 3, the product is x raised to the power of 2 plus 5x minus 6. So this is your answer. So as simple as that. The only thing that you need is to master the basic part of multiplication. The constant and variable, the multiplication of constant and variables, multiplying unlike variables, and multiplying same variables, and multiplying monomials. All of those basic parts of multiplication, you can apply those here for this part of the multiplication. Okay, so supposedly we have, like for example, we have number 2, we have x squared, okay, minus 2 for example, yeah, times x squared minus 3x plus 4 for example. So what is the possible answer? Okay, so in this case, this is now the multiplication of binomial and trinomials. So when you rewrite this one into vertical arrangement, the one with most number of terms, for your convenience, you should place the expression with most number of terms as the first line here, that is x squared minus 3x plus 4. And then we have the second one is x, okay, so x squared minus 2. And then proceed to multiplication. I am giving enough space here for you to be guided when we draw an arrow to where you should multiply it first. So start multiplying now, term after term. So we have the first is x squared. Okay, so x squared times x squared. So just simply copy the common variable x raised to the power of 4. And then why is it x raised to the power of 4? Because we are just copying the common variable, and then 2 plus 2, that is 4. Then next, multiply x squared and 3x. So technically 3x becomes negative, and this one is positive. So the result when we multiply two unlike signs, automatic negative. But since there is term again before that, so the negative becomes minus, or just simply write only the operation after you multiply this term. So it is just like x squared. Okay, so it's just like x squared times negative 3x. So the answer is, so since there is no other term, coefficient here other than 1, so 1 times negative 3, that is negative 3. Copy the common x, and x here has exponent, has 1 as exponent, so 2 plus 1, that is 3. So therefore, your answer is negative 3x cubed. So the negative becomes minus 3x cubed when you multiply x squared and 3x. The last part of the first term, multiplying to the upper expression, so x squared times 4. So technically, positive 4 is positive because of the plus, then x squared is positive. So therefore, you are multiplying to the same signs. So it is just like this one, x squared times 4. So you are multiplying variables and constant. Just copy them together as the answer. So becomes 4x squared. So technically positive and plus of the same sign. So your operation here is plus. Okay, so as you can see, if the other one has more than number of terms compared to the first, So the result is there should always be 3 terms because it will always match to which given has number of terms. And then let's proceed to the next part. This time, you multiply 2 or minus 2 to each term of the upper expression or the first line expression. So this time it will be minus 2 or negative 2 times x squared. So that is negative 2 times x squared. So you are multiplying again constant and variables, so just copy them together as your answer. That's negative 2x squared, and then that's your answer. So since it is negative, so automatic that is minus if it is possible. So look for the terms here with the same variable and exponent, and you place the negative 2x squared under the same term here. So in this case, the term which is similar to negative 2x squared is positive 4x squared. So place negative 2x squared under 4x squared. So it becomes negative 2x raised to the power of 2 here. So do not write negative 2x squared under this term or under this because their variables and exponents are not the same. Then this time, let's proceed to the multiplication of negative 2 to negative 3x. So technically, the same sign, two same signs that we are multiplying becomes positive. So it is just like negative 2 times negative 3x this time. So it will be multiplying the same sign, so it becomes positive 6, and then just bring down the common variable. Not common actually, but the variable alone. So technically positive, so it becomes plus. So since 6x has no other terms that can be considered similar to, so therefore you write your 6x next to negative 2x squared because the exponent should be descending from highest to lowest. So you place 6x here. So since it is positive, consider that is plus. Then the last part is minus 2 or negative 2 times 4. So you are multiplying constants all together. So 2 times 4, that is 8. And since their signs are not the same, having the opposite sign, so when you multiply two unlike signs, the result is always negative. But since there is term here, so the negative symbol becomes minus. So therefore, when you multiply negative 2 or minus 2 to the first line, the answer is negative 2x squared plus 6x minus 8. While when you multiply x squared to the first line, or to the first expression, the answer is x raised to the power of 4 minus 3x cubed plus 4x raised to the power of 2. Then after that, you add all of them together to obtain the final result. So this is plus 2. So since under x raised to the power of 4, there is no term here, so just bring down x raised to the power of 4. And for 3x cubed, there is no term below, so just bring down 3x cubed and then bring down minus. And for this term, so 4x squared and 2x squared are similar, having similar terms or similar. So just bring down x squared, the common variable and exponent, and only do this 4 plus negative 2. So when adding unlike sign again, get their difference, that is 2. And since 4 is bigger than negative 2 when it comes to their absolute value, so the operation is plus, so this is also plus. For 6x minus 8, since there are no terms above, so just bring down them together, 6x and minus term as part of the answer to obtain the final answer. So can you see the idea now? the application of the process from basic up to moderate up to the more than one terms until we reach the multiplication of binomials and trinomials. So therefore, class, as a conclusion, the quantity of x squared minus 2 times the quantity of x squared minus 3x plus 4, the final answer is x raised to the power of 4 minus 3x cubed plus 2x squared plus 6x minus 8. So that's it. Just be careful and follow the process class and follow the technique and do it step by step at a time and try to practice by your own. You may discover that the process is just so easy if you give your 100% attention and focus when doing this multiplication. Okay, so I guess for the trinomial and trinomial, I have to leave it to you to do and perform as part of the practice activity. Okay, so for you to practice at home, you have to answer this one. And if you can do this on the board, that would be very welcome. So number one, you multiply x minus 2 times x squared minus 3x minus 1. And for number 2, you multiply x minus 1 times x cubed minus 3x squared minus 2x and plus 3. That's monomial. That's multinomial. And for number 3, try to do this x squared plus 3x plus 2 times x squared minus 2x minus 1. Okay, so when we come back to our regular class, we will be directly discussing about the division of polynomial function or polynomial expression using the long method of division. So why I am including this as part of the review lessons, because that's for you to study and go back to your previous lessons when you were in lower grades, because these ideas from addition, subtraction, multiplication of integers, multiplication of algebraic expressions, you need all these ideas, stock knowledge for you, to perform the division of polynomial expressions or polynomial functions when we go back to our regular classes. So please study and try to practice. And if you have questions, you may leave your comments once this discussion will be uploaded in the channel. So thank you so much and enjoy your weekend.